You started. Good. Now everything in you wants to stop. It's not what you expected. It's harder than it looked, messier, slower. You're not seeing the result you imagined. And that voice, the one that said you weren't ready, is back, louder than before. And this time it has evidence. See, you tried. It's not working. You were right to wait. This video is about what's really happening in that moment, because the urge to quit isn't what it feels like, and understanding it might be the only thing that keeps you moving. If this is the kind of content that makes you think, subscribe. New videos every Tuesday and Friday. Nobody talks about the ugly middle. Everyone talks about starting, about courage, about taking the leap, and everyone talks about success, the finished thing, the result, the transformation. But nobody talks about what lives between those two moments, the ugly middle, where nothing works yet, where you're bad at the thing you decided to do, where the gap between your vision and your current ability feels like a canyon. That's where you are, and it's exactly where most people quit. Here's what your brain is doing right now. It's interpreting discomfort as a signal that something is wrong. You feel frustrated, uncertain, like you're failing, and your brain, which is wired to protect you, reads those feelings and concludes, "This is dangerous. Stop. Go back to safety." But discomfort isn't a signal that you're doing the wrong thing. It's a signal that you're doing a hard thing. There's a difference, a crucial one. When something is genuinely wrong, you feel it in a specific way, like betraying your values, like moving away from who you are. But the discomfort of growth, it feels like resistance, like friction, like the weight of something real. The voice that wants you to quit is very smart. It doesn't just say stop, it builds a case. It collects every piece of evidence, every mistake you made, every slow result, every person who seems further ahead, every day you didn't do enough, and it presents it all to you as proof. Proof that you were wrong to start, proof that you're not cut out for this, proof that quitting isn't giving up, it's being realistic. And here's the terrifying part. Some of that evidence is real. You are making mistakes. Results are slow. Other people are further ahead. The voice isn't lying about the facts, it's lying about what the facts mean. Making mistakes doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're learning in real time, which is the only way anyone ever learns anything that matters. Slow results don't mean it's not working. They mean you're building something real instead of something hollow. Other people being further ahead doesn't mean you're behind. It means you started later. That's all. The race isn't against them. It was never against them. The facts are true. The interpretation is wrong. And that distinction is everything. There's something almost nobody tells you about quitting. Most people stop right before things start to work. Not halfway through, not at the beginning, right before the breakthrough, because that's when the resistance is highest, that's when the discomfort peaks, that's when the ugly middle is at its ugliest. And so they stop, and they never find out how close they were. He almost did the same thing. 3 weeks into something he'd been afraid to start for years. Nothing was working the way he'd imagined. He was bad at it, embarrassingly bad, and the voice was deafening. But he paused before quitting, not to push through, not to force it, just to ask one question. Am I quitting because this is genuinely wrong for me? Or am I quitting because it's hard and I'm scared? That question matters more than any advice, because sometimes quitting is right. Sometimes you start something and discover it doesn't align with who you are. That's not failure, that's information. Quit those things. Quit them without guilt. But most of the time, if you're honest with yourself, you're not quitting because it's wrong. You're quitting because it's uncomfortable, because you're in the ugly middle, because the gap between where you are and where you want to be feels unbearable. And that kind of quitting is just fear with a reasonable explanation. So before you quit, ask yourself that question. Sit with it. Be honest. Is this genuinely wrong for me? Or is this just hard? If it's genuinely wrong, let it go. No drama, no guilt. You started, you learned, you moved on. That's not failure. That's how people find what's actually right for them. But if it's just hard, if it's just uncomfortable, if it's just the ugly middle doing what the ugly middle does, don't quit yet. Here's what nobody tells you about the people who actually finish things. They didn't feel less like quitting than you do right now. They felt it just as much, some days more. The difference isn't that they were tougher or more disciplined or more certain. The difference is they understood that the urge to quit is not a verdict. It's just a feeling, a very loud, very convincing feeling that visits everyone who tries to build something real. You're not uniquely bad at this. You're not uniquely weak. You're just in the part of the process nobody posts about. You started scared. That was the hard part, and you did it. This part, the ugly middle, the wanting to quit, the voice collecting evidence against you, this is just the next scared thing. Same fear, different shape. You know what to do with it. If you haven't watched the previous video about why you were scared to start in the first place, watch that next. It's exactly where this one begins. See you there.